Moving in now, this is nowhere as strong as the first system earlier this week that brought us heavy snow, followed by the Arctic plunge in temperatures. But we do have another system, a winter weather advisory behind us. And Cass, it looks like there's the potential for some light icing, some light ice accumulations from some freezing rain. We're going to be talking about what is freezing rain and how much of the light ice accumulations we could see. But there could be some impacts. Of course, one of the things we're going to talk about as well, the roads are still already bad from the first storm, and some of that snow and ice has not really gotten off a lot of our neighborhood roads to begin with. So you may want to stay home and stay put just from that alone, but we do have additional light icing possible overnight.
Yeah, and I mean, it is 7:50 right now on our, what is today, Thursday? Thursday.
Does it feel like Friday?
It feels like Friday so much. So it is 7:51. So this update, in case you're watching this later, is, this is happening as of 7:51.
Right.
And the winter weather advisory that's behind me here is for everybody across our entire viewing area. That is issued when we expect to have, or when the National Weather Service expects to have, potentially hazardous travel conditions.
Right.
So that's why that's issued, and that's why every county in our viewing area is included in it. It runs all the way through 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, and that's because we have this next system that's coming in right now. But part of what is making this current system that's coming through now as impactful as it is the previous system and the setup that we've had this week with the cold air and the snow still on the ground.
That's it. It's the lingering effects.
Yeah.
So advisory level, more of the minor impacts. A warning. We had a winter storm warning early in the week, and that was obviously for more significant impacts and hazards on the roadways. So thank you, Cass. That kind of sets the stage of what we're looking at. So, and I'll let you kind of describe this. Our wedge, our slice of warm air through the atmosphere. And because we have all these different potential precipitation types.
I'm going to drag my box over.
We're mainly looking at, the freezing rain potential because of this slice of warmer air coming in.
Yeah, so we like it when we have all cold air or all warm air. That's when we have snow or we have liquid rain.
Right.
It's these two in between that we start to have more of a question, more of a problem with possible impact. So sleet is a snowflake that partially melts in a thin layer of warm air, but goes through a thicker layer of cold air underneath, and it refreezes before it reaches the surface. So sleet has a beat. It's tiny little pellets that kind of bounce. You can hear them tapping when they're landing. They can accumulate too.
Right.
But oftentimes we have viewers saying, I'm seeing freezing rain right now, and what they think they're seeing is a raindrop that has frozen, which is, you're not wrong. But freezing rain, technically, the way we use it in the world of meteorology, is a liquid that freezes on contact with the ground.
Right.
So this is way more impactful than this is, because this is how you get that glaze of ice.
Big difference. I would much rather have sleet, kind of like frozen rain beforehand, versus freezing rain, which is rain that freezing on the contact is, with the surface, like Cassie just said. So this is the worst. I mean, freezing rain is things that coats everything with the glaze and coat of ice. Now, the good news with this particular system, we're at advisory for light amounts potentially of freezing rain. We're looking at 1/10 of an inch or less. Just to give you, for example, if it's significant icing, that's when you start talking about 1/4 to 1/2 inch icing. That's much more significant. So this one is expected to be light, and that will not have as much impact, thankfully. For example, on power lines, tree limbs. Of course, any icing you've got to watch, but it will create the hazardous travel conditions with the slippery roads.
Which I wanted to say one last thing with this graphic. When you're looking at this may be confusing if you haven't seen this before. Cold air is denser than warm air. And so what the setup that we had is that snowpack and very cold air down in the valley today.
Right.
And then that warmer air is riding up and over it.
Right.
In the valley locations, which is how we are getting to a freezing rain event this time around. Exactly. It's actually kind of similar to what we saw on Monday in our eastern counties, down in Monroe, Blount, and Sevier counties.
Yes.
We had a layer of cold air there, but it was too thin, and we had a layer of warm air come up over it. And we had all rain in some of those counties, while here in Knoxville, we got 10 inches of snow. And that's exactly the same setup. But that layer of cold air at the surface wasn't cold enough to cause a freezing issue. Now it is.
It is incredible that
Same thing.
This was Monroe County, parts of Blount, Sevier, Coffee Green for a while.
Knox County.
And then we were all the way over we stayed in the deep, heavy snow with the deep, cold air.
You know what's funny? Yeah. Sevier County actually went from that to that, and so did Blount County.
They did.
The northern areas were the snow and the southern areas were rain.
At the airport, we were sitting there. It's like, okay, 12 miles south, we're working on 6, 7, 8 inches, so, plus. In the airport, how much they have? 2.
Yeah.
But they caught up eventually, which was impressive. Yeah,
very interesting.
Well, that's a good explanation. Yeah, that warm air trying to scour out that cold, dense Arctic air. It didn't do much today. We got 1 degree above freezing. Yeah, 33 was our high today.
So Todd was mentioning how there's the freezing rain that we're concerned about. So Todd was mentioning how we're not expecting significant accumulations when we talk about ice.
Right.
We're talking about a couple hundredths, so 0.0 something, up to maybe 1/10 of an inch at the most, it looks like in most locations. And so 1/10 of an inch or less, though, can still be impactful.
Right.
A glaze on windshields. It can make a couple slick spots on bridges and overpasses, on the on and off ramps of the interstate, and it can also create some light ice on trees and power lines. Normally, it's not enough to cause any infrastructure issues. Because we still have snow, though, sitting on some of those trees and power lines, that ice would add additional weight. Again, we don't expect that to be a widespread issue, but we want to mention it because if you have any of those limbs that are already hanging low and are weighted with the snow, any additional weight may be what causes them to drop.
Exactly. In our afternoon meeting today, our news director, actually Corey, had brought up that point because normally 1/10 of an inch, that's not going to do enough for any power line, tree limbs issues. But what you just said, Cassie, this is what Corey said. It's a great point. Many areas still have the snow that's kind of hanging around on some tree limbs, etc. So, even if it's just light icing, that adds a little bit extra weight. So hopefully that's not going to be an issue. Because normally it's not. When you just have light icing, normally it's not an issue. Because of this first winter storm that was so impactful and remains, it's still having impacts even 3 to 4 days after the fact as we go tonight and into tomorrow. And so it's not just this separate storm versus the first one. Sometimes in tandem, what you've already had, that snow sticking around, and now some light ice on top. So hopefully we won't have any significant issues from that. And the saying, if snow sticks around for 3 days, sometimes it's waiting on another snow.
If it lays for 3 days, it's waiting for another or something.
Waiting for another one. Now, we'll talk more about that moment. We do have a chance for light snow and flurries later tomorrow.
So we have the winter weather advisory for potential road impacts. It's because of freezing rain, and these are the impacts you can have from freezing rain. Let's talk about specifically folks traveling on those roads.
Right.
So tonight, if you can stay home, just stay home.
Yeah.
Tomorrow through, 7 p.m. is when the winter weather advisory goes, but if you can stay home through at least the first half of the day, that would be ideal. We don't think we're going to have widespread, oh my gosh, every road in this entire East Tennessee area is a giant ice skating rink. That's not what we're worried about. Yeah. It's the roads that already look like this, that are already...
Yeah, outside your house?
Yeah, so folks that are already having trouble getting out and about because their roads look like this, now add a thin layer of ice. And it doesn't even have to be freezing rain that does this. It can just be regular rain.
Exactly.
Because it will become freezing rain from that standpoint on this ice, on this packed snow. And so if your road looks like this, not a good idea to be trying to get out tonight or tomorrow, because it's going to be even more slippery than it already is.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it was dry tonight, this is still what we're talking about. The lingering effects from the first storm still have an impact. But as Cass said, that's just going to create another ice layer on top. So don't get out if you don't have to. And it's like night and day. You can get out on Kingston Pike if you get to Broadway. They've done a great job treating it. It's clear. But then you take a right or a left onto a neighborhood back road.
Yeah. Yep.
It's literally night and day between the haves and have-nots, between the treated and the not treated. So you just have to remember that.
This still exists around a very large portion of our viewing area. I would venture to say the majority of roads look like this.
Yeah.
The major roads that get more attention have been treated.
Right.
But these are the roads that are in all the neighborhoods, and they all look like this. This is why all the schools were out today looking. And tomorrow. Today's still Thursday.
Yeah, I know. It's exactly.
They're out again for Friday. And looking ahead to next week, because we're also going to get so cold this weekend, we're going to be tracking this as we go through the day Sunday, driving around again and checking out the roads and doing all that kind of stuff. It is a very real possibility a lot of schools may call out again for Monday because with the cold air in place, we don't expect to see a lot of change with these road conditions through the weekend.
Exactly. And just to that point, looking ahead, we're expected to be below freezing through much of the weekend and in the teens Sunday night, Monday morning. Monday, we should be in the 40s. It will get above freezing Monday. It may take a while, but to Cassie's point, because of the very cold weekend, it's going to take a while to melt. This is a good example. Well, today we only got 33, but it just hardly any improvement.
Yeah. Now I will say the sun helps.
Yes.
I mean, we had full sun yesterday, even though it was cold, and it made a difference.
Right.
We're going to see some sunshine through the weekend.
Right.
It's going to make a difference. But this is probably 6 inches deep, and that's going to take a lot of sunny days to gradually work through that entire pack of ice. And actually, when we're talking about this, we're not saying that because there's going to be additional snow accumulations for most areas. I know a lot of folks earlier this week were like, more snow? This event that's coming through tonight is a concern because of the freezing rain potential making roads more slippery.
Right.
As far as snow goes this time around, this is a more typical direction that we would normally see.
Right.
With the wind coming in from the west-northwest with the Arctic air on the backside of a system, the moisture is exiting. So we're looking for maybe a ½ an inch to an inch, maybe for our plateau counties, less than ½ an inch in our valley locations, but we have to put that on there because with the ground being so cold, whatever snowflakes fall, they are going to stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then 1 to 3 inches up top, northern areas, and then high elevations, the mountains. I mean, it could snow in the mountains all the way through Saturday
exactly.
for that northwest flow.
And it probably will, and that's a great point.
Yeah.
So we do have that chance for, and this is Arctic air that's moving in Friday, in Friday night and in Saturday. So it's going to squeeze out those light snow showers, even flurries, off and on. So that could produce a light coating, et cetera, on top of what we already have. But not a lot in the valley, but mainly a higher elevation snowfall event.
So let's quickly go through the impacts, and then let's show them what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So as far as impacts go, the most impact that we're going to see tonight and early tomorrow is going to come from the freezing rain potential for the slick ice. But then from there, now we go into the weekend issues. Yeah,
we got to get through the weekend. We got to get all the way through Monday morning. Then we're going to be in a big thaw and warm up next week. But we're talking about the weekend. It's another shot of Arctic air, single-digit lows with sub-freezing highs Saturday and Sunday, Friday night and Saturday night. And both Friday night and Saturday night respective mornings, below zero wind chills are also fairly likely. So I know, I tell you what's a rarity. I can't remember too many times one Arctic air mass being replaced with another one. That's I mean, back-to-back Arctic air masses. So that's what we're looking at. We got a brief break today. Yesterday was slightly warmer, but not much. Again, barely above freezing. So here we go. We're falling back below freezing. So we got to get through the weekend. Drip your faucets. We have sustained cold temperatures in multiple days below freezing. These single-digit lows at night, that's pipe-busting cold. So we'll really need to do that through the weekend.
But here's the thing. We've already done this all week. So nothing that's going, besides tonight with the potential for the freezing rain adding to the slickness tomorrow, we've already done this all week long. So we just have to continue being smart and safe on the roads, taking it slow and trying to stay home if you can. Dripping the pipes because it's still cold, practicing our fire safety because it's still cold, but next week you finally get to see some improvement when it comes to that.
Yeah, so, we'll talk about that coming up.
Yeah, so all of our temperatures around our area are very close to freezing. We have some pockets that are a little bit cooler. We have a layer of dry air near the surface as well. So a lot of what's showing up on the radar is barely reaching the ground right now.
Yeah, it all goes together. I mean, while we are at freezing, we're going to drop just below freezing. Thankfully, it's light. We'll be very candid, very upfront with you, as always try to be. If we had heavy precipitation moving in, we'd be concerned because the air is very cold at the surface. So thankfully it's light. It's not overly concentrated. So the impacts will be lighter and not as heavy and significant as they could be otherwise. So yeah, we're near freezing. We'll drop down a little bit more, not plunging temperatures necessarily tonight, just below freezing, by maybe a few degrees or so by early in the morning. The exception is the Cumberland. The exception is the plateau, as usual, up into Kentucky. That's where there could be more impacts with icy roads. Yeah. So the last couple of nights we have hit the deck when it's come to our temperatures. Yeah. And so every time we get that solar installation during the day, we see some slight melting. It immediately freezes into black ice as soon as the sun goes down. Yeah, our temperatures have plummeted. Yeah. Tonight's not quite going to be like that. Yeah. For instance, our parking lot had some melting during the day today, and it's still liquid out there. At this time, the past couple of nights, that would already be a sheet of ice. So we are going to have some black ice and slick conditions from that, but it's not the same type as we've already had across the area the past couple nights. That's going to be tomorrow night. Friday night into Saturday morning, big black ice potential. Again, Saturday night into Sunday morning, and Sunday night into Monday morning, all going to be black ice potential. I know, that's the tomorrow night.
It says Wednesday morning, but it's not Wednesday morning. Just cover that up.
Wow. Yeah,
not
cover that up.
Not that.
It just got changed. This is exactly.
Cover that back.
This is tomorrow night. we're Channel 10. And we're falling down into the single. So we're right back in the Arctic plunge.
Cool.
But to Cassie's point, any moisture is going to be, refreezing those. Those roads are going to stay hazardous. But you made a great point, Cassie. Everything we've been doing this week, we simply keep doing. So when we avoid travel at night and particularly in the morning, same thing. That's when it's going to be iciest and the coldest, etc. And we got to drip the faucets at night and get through the weekend. Then next week we're going to be in good shape.
And like I said, we can do this.
We'll talk about that.
We can do this. Okay, so let's look at the radar.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
And then we'll show you the warmth coming next week.
Yeah, we'll get right to that warmth coming up.
Yeah, got to have some positive here. So this is our composite radar, and it kind of takes all of the radars around the region and kind of puts them together. And it's honestly not doing a great job right now, but what it kind of gives you an idea of is that farther north we've got more of the cold air, so we're talking about snow.
Yeah, snow's to our north. Exactly.
A little farther south, rain. We're the in-between here because of our lovely geography of East Tennessee. And let's go ahead and switch to the local radar so we get a more accurate, there you go.
Some of the radars aren't picking up quite what we're seeing here.
So what we're seeing right now, where you see all of that peach color, that's probably a lot of sleet coming down in there, or just a wintry mix. We did have teeny tiny little raindrops here at our station, but they were not freezing on contact with surfaces, which is great.
Yeah, and it's really below, you can be at freezing, but a lot of times at 31, 29 is colder than 30. So the more you're below freezing is when it tends to have a little bit more of an impact. So that could be some developing light freezing rain, as Cass said, some sleet, and something we'll be watching as we go later this evening. We'll show you the timeline coming up. It's expected to be a little bit more concentrated. So.
Yeah. A lot of folks have been asking us, though. They say, we've been seeing stuff showing up on the radar, but we're not seeing anything reaching the ground yet.
Yeah.
And that's because of that layer of dry air. It's evaporating a lot of it before it reaches the ground. That's going to change as the atmosphere saturates and we go through tonight. So a lot of what you're seeing now showing up on our futurecast here, this is when we're going to be most concerned for the potential of impacts on the roads. So again, overnight, we just want folks to try to stay home if you can.
Yeah, exactly. That's the pink. That's the light mix precip. The freezing rain should be light. It may end in some light freezing drizzle, and then we'll see the colder air starting to move in once we get into our Friday. And then, Cass, I'll let you take it away. Jumping ahead to the weekend just to talk about the particulars here.
So for the weekend, we're going to start off on Saturday, very cold, single digits, low teens.
Yep.
Again,
pick a number.
Cloudy.
Yep.
But then we'll start to see increasing sunshine as we go through the afternoon. Any sun, even through clouds, is going to help with some of the melting.
Cass, that's a great point. I'll take a 32. A 32 is going to feel so much better than 21. It's kind of like this Wednesday, yesterday. What did we hit? Well, wait a minute. We were in the mid-20s. Actually, I was going to say we hit 30.
But it felt great because it was sunny.
Our forecast high.
But it was sunny. That's what you were trying to say.
The sun. Thank you. The sunshine made a big difference, and we still didn't get the forecast high. But it made a big difference.
Yeah.
And so that hopefully will help us out.
Then you're going to do this again on Sunday morning. That's a 5 for those of you who can't see that. And then we're going to be back up hopefully to freezing around Sunday. Maybe we'll be right on the cusp. So very cold to start, but mostly sunny during the afternoon. Each morning we have the black ice concern. We do it again into Monday. And now...
Ready for the drum roll? Here we go. 7-day forecast.
The graphic is taking
the
forever.
Arctic plunge to the weekend. Wham.
There you go, 7-day forecast. So starting Monday morning, still worrying about black ice. But look at Monday. Oh my gosh, 40s? What are those? I've forgotten. It's been so long. And then we're going to go into the 50s on Tuesday, Wednesday. By Thursday, we might flirt with 60. So the precip.
Up. God, it's going to be so warm.
It's going to feel so balmy. And
wet.
But rain.
Yeah, but rain. That's right.
But rain.
Hey, right now, we'll walk outside without an umbrella just to get the liquid precip, right?
Yeah.
The warmer temperatures. A quick point, we got a 14 on Monday morning.
Yep.
So you mentioned the impacts potentially about school delays. They'll have to make that call. By the way,
we don't get to do that.
We don't make any of those calls. We just talk about what's going to fall from cloud to ground. Everybody else, after that, everybody else takes care of the impacts of weather. But, potentially, there could be some delays, et cetera. But 14 in the morning, but we do get above freezing. And then the rest of the way should be home free. We're talking about the showers and the warmer temperatures.
Now, to be clear, because I did have a question about this.
Yes.
You were
car
saying
wash?
Also car wash. Yeah. You were saying yesterday something to the effect of and then we can say goodbye to winter. And we had one viewer get so excited. They were like, we're done with the cold.
Did I say that yesterday?
Just as a joke, you were saying and then we can say goodbye to winter. Yeah. But they were like, forever? No.
Just
no.
Yeah, just
for
this
1 week.
Right. Yeah.
We may not be done with cold snaps just yet. We'll have to see how we go into February.
This is still late. Exactly. We still have February to go. Who knows? We don't know. we'll have to wait and see after. We may be able to look back and say, wow, that 1 week was our most impactful week of the winter. I mean, I hope we'll look back and say that.
Yeah.
Because it's been pretty impactful. We've had a 10 weather impact day every day this week.
We've definitely never done that before.
That's the first. And obviously,
school's been out for a whole week.
School's been out for a whole week.
Yeah. I mean, Newfound Gap Road's been closed for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because of the wind and the rain last week, and then now the wintry weather this week.
Yeah, the 2 wind events were just last week. That seems like
a week
3
ago,
weeks ago, doesn't it?
A week ago, we were doing one of these talking about the potential for 105-mile-per-hour wind gusts up in the high elevations of the mountains. Here we are a week later talking about like sub-zero temperatures. Yeah. Welcome to East Tennessee weather, folks.
Welcome to East Tennessee.
Hope you're loving it, because we are. Even though it's a headache, it's still a lot of fun.
A lot of folks have probably had some cabin fever and hopefully been sleeping good at night. A lot of folks are at Channel 10 that you don't even see. You see us, but behind the scenes have been sleeping here at night and staying. So you get to see, the product goes out on air and you get the information you need. There are many, many, many people working behind the scenes that you don't ever see that really make everything go here at Channel 10. And a lot of hard-working people. They've been bringing in food, shoveling the sidewalks. Our general manager's been out there. Everybody's been pitching in across the board, helping to make things go smooth as possible. And we know a lot of folks are tired.
Yeah.
And it's been a long week, so we hope you're able to rest up. We hope you've been able to enjoy it. This doesn't happen all the time in East Tennessee where you get this much snow and impactful weather. So hopefully on the bright side, you've been able to take advantage and enjoy some of it too.
And we've also enjoyed all of your pictures and all of your reports. That's also very helpful when we're talking about what type of precipitation are we seeing.
Right.
It's helpful to get those comments on our social media pages or those emails saying, hey, I'm seeing sleet right now, or it's freezing on contact here. It's freezing rain. I've got it. Or my roads are covered. If we don't get those pictures, we don't have that information. So thank you to the viewers. This really is like we're all in this together dealing with this, and we couldn't do it without each other to go through the whole event.
Right. I mean,
so thanks.
I can only imagine how many, Cassie, at one point yesterday, I think you were an hour straight answering, commenting. Cassie does a great job, as everybody else does on our team, commenting and interacting. To echo what you said, thank you for your comments, your reports. That really helps us a lot to see what we're seeing on the graphic compared to what you're seeing at your house.
So now, just like we're going to do, take a break.
Take a break.
Relax. We'll be back at 10 p.m. on Fox 43. We'll be back on WBIR at 11. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on things all night long. Our crews are literally sleeping here to keep an eye on everything. And we'll be back early tomorrow morning, too, with coverage to see how those roads are looking for your Fridays to start the day.
The toughest thing's going to be for us, if you already eaten it, right?
I had fettuccine Alfredo, or not fettuccine, but
here's the toughest thing. After
chicken Alfredo.
After you eat nice and warm in the building, if you don't see us at 10, 11, no, I'm just teasing. It's going to be hard not to get in a quick little nap.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, thank you for joining us. We hope you've had a good, safe week. And stay warm, stay safe. Don't get out on the roads if you don't have to. And remember to drip those faucets this weekend. Make sure everybody's warm and safe.
And take care of your pets.
And take care of your pets, exactly. And we will be here for you as much as we can to keep you updated, safe, and informed. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Cass. Have a great night.